I'm going to say this in the most annoying possible way. This is not really a video about refueling a nuclear reactor. It's a video about asking you to trust an institution because the institution looks serious up close. And to be fair, Brown's Ferry does look serious up close. Badges, procedures, control rooms, men speaking in the calm tone of people who know one mistake would become a chapter in a government report. The question is whether the video actually proves the thing it quietly wants to prove. Not just that refueling is fascinating, but that the system deserves your confidence. The strongest move Destin makes is also the sneakiest one. Access itself becomes evidence. We start outside the plant, then immediately get walked past badges, hallways, briefing rooms, and control spaces. That matters rhetorically. The video is telling you, before it explains a single reactor component, that this world is organized, credentialed, and procedural. That's not fake evidence. It's real context. But it is still context, not proof. A secure facility can be competent, and a secure facility can also be a very polished way of staging competence for a visitor with a camera. Now, where the video earns its keep is in the mechanical and logistical explanation. Once it gets into the refueling outage as a choreography problem, who can go where, what gets moved when, what has to be cooled, shielded, documented, and checked, the piece becomes much more rigorous. Nuclear refueling is not presented as a magic event. It's presented as a long chain of interlocks and constraints. That's the right frame. The value here is not nuclear is safe because smart people work there. The value is nuclear safety is inseparable from operations discipline, sequencing, and human systems. That distinction matters. And the human side mostly helps rather than hurts. The workers aren't framed as superheroes. They're framed as people inside a system that makes them boring on purpose. In a nuclear plant, boring is a compliment. You want the culture to be repetitive, fussy, mildly paranoid, and obsessed with handoffs. There's a reason the elevator shots, the corridor walk-in talks, the room checks all matter. They show a plant as a social machine. If you want a serious public understanding of nuclear power, this is the part to show. Less glowing sci-fi fantasy, more clipboards, and controlled access doors. But here's the weak point. The video is much better at showing the ritual of safety than the trade-offs of safety. We see procedure. We see people. We see the environment of control. What we don't really get is proportional context for failure modes, outage economics, waste handling trade-offs, or the fact that public distrust of nuclear power is not just ignorance waiting to be corrected by a tour. If the implied thesis is come behind the curtain and you'll feel differently about nuclear, that conclusion outruns the evidence. A plant tour can demonstrate professionalism. It cannot settle the argument by itself. The giant machinery shots are where the video becomes genuinely useful and a little manipulative at the same time. Useful because scale is part of the truth. Refueling is an industrial ballet with insane physical consequences if done carelessly. Manipulative, not maliciously, just structurally, because scale creates moral comfort. Huge room, huge equipment, huge protocols, huge seriousness. It flatters the viewer into thinking scale and care are the same thing as comprehensive understanding. They're not. Sometimes the most dangerous sentence in technical communication is, "Look how many precautions there are," because it can replace the harder sentence, which is here are the actual residual risks and institutional incentives. There's also a subtler issue with how expertise is staged. Screens, panels, monitored spaces, operators standing in front of systems. That imagery tells a very old story. Experts are watching, therefore the system is legible and under control. But the hard truth of nuclear engineering is that safety isn't primarily a vibe of watchfulness. It's design margins, maintenance quality, organizational culture, regulator pressure, outage decisions, training standards, and how the system behaves when the wrong people are tired at the wrong time. The video points toward that complexity, but it mostly cashes out in atmosphere rather than argument. And this is where I had the slightly absurd reaction. A nuclear refueling outage can start to resemble a cathedral tour for proceduralists. Everyone whispers the liturgy of checklists. Doors open only for the initiated. Sacred objects are moved according to rules. I don't mean that as a cheap shot. I mean, the video is strongest when it reveals that modern high-risk infrastructure depends on ritualized obedience to systems larger than any one worker. That's not anti-science. That's the opposite. It's an honest picture of how fragile human reliability really is. Still, the omissions matter because they shape the takeaway. Brown's Ferry is a Tennessee Valley Authority plant, and TVA is not just a backdrop here. It's part of the legitimacy package. Public utility, long history, giant infrastructure mission. Fine. But if you're going to let the institution benefit from that glow, then a sharper version of this video would also force harder questions onto the table. What exactly drives outage timelines? How are mistakes reported internally? What are the cost penalties of delays? How often do near misses happen? And which safety claims are independently audited versus locally narrated? Instead, the video mostly treats institutional self-description as trustworthy unless visually contradicted. That said, I don't want to undersell what Destin actually accomplished here, because plenty of science content never gets this close to operational reality. The best educational choice in the whole piece is that he doesn't reduce nuclear power to a toy metaphor. He keeps bringing us back to labor, sequence, containment, and coordination. That's a serious upgrade over the usual content slop, where nuclear means one animation of atoms, one mention of Chernobyl, and a thumbnail face doing existential surprise. Here, the plant feels like work. Good. Energy should feel like work. Civilization runs on work we prefer not to think about. So my verdict is this. As a documentary of nuclear refueling culture, this is excellent. As an argument for why viewers should feel newly reassured about nuclear power, it's only partly earned. The evidence clearly supports one conclusion, that a refueling outage is a disciplined, deeply procedural, high-consequence operation staffed by people taking it very seriously. It does not fully support the larger emotional conclusion that proximity to seriousness should resolve the harder political and technical debates around nuclear risk. The strongest part of the argument is also its biggest vulnerability. The video shows you enough to admire the machine, but not quite enough to interrogate it. And honestly, that's why it's worth talking about. Not because the video is weak, it isn't, but because it's exactly the kind of smart, earnest, access-heavy documentary that can smuggle in a bigger conclusion than its evidence quite caches. If that's your kind of argument, stick around. The next time a channel asks for your trust with a hard hat, a tour badge, and a very calm man next to expensive machinery, we're going to stop the tape and ask what was actually proven.